Welcome to Backroads Classics with Hal Wolford.
Hello, I'm Hal Wolford. But we did a story every day.
Yes.
And we tried to hit all of our coverage area, which would be a good portion of southeastern Illinois and northern Kentucky and all of southwestern Indiana. Now his big project is a quilt he's finishing for a reunion of his Air Force buddies from World War II. I like the feature stories. That was my forte, I think. I like feature stories better, much better than covering hard news. But that was part of the deal. You know, there's a lot of things you see that are so goofy that you know right away that would make something interesting. Somebody called us on that one from Calhoun, Kentucky, and said, hey, there's a guy down here, once he had 15 kids and he's too poor to buy him any toys, so he let them go out in the summertime and swat bees and fight bees. So we went down there, and sure enough, that's the way it was. Calhoun, Kentucky's annual bumblebee fight started years ago when Uncle Bum Cobb had 15 children. The family was so poor they couldn't afford toys. So Uncle Bum took them out to a field and let them fight bumblebees. Bumblebees nest in the ground. The bee fighters grab switches of leaves for protection. Someone stirs up the nest, and the bumblebee fight is on.
Come here! Come here!
Pardon my ignorance here, but a lot of people are going to wonder, why do you do something where it hurts?
I don't know. It's been in the family for years, and I just get out there and do it.
You don't fight the bumblebees?
I don't fight them. I learned my lesson.
A lot of folks get stung, and since many people are allergic to bee stings, and in fact many die from them, this is a pastime that isn't likely to catch on. But in Calhoun, Kentucky, they count their welts and their stings, take a break, and go right back to the field of screams. That's probably the one story that got more international recognition than anything we've ever done. Somebody put it on a feature channel, and it was shown in Ireland, and several local businessmen were in Ireland on conventions and happened to see it in Ireland while they were there.
He likes visitors, and nobody leaves empty-handed.
Well, I heard my boys tell somebody that said, if you'll stop at his house, he'll give you a glass of jelly. Said, he gives everybody a glass of jelly. Some of them he gives them two.
And Arthur Davis, that wonderful old gentleman with a great outlook on life, is something else, you see. He's a champion. Take a look at this wall. Arthur has been a blue ribbon jelly maker since 1972.
I would hesitate to say how many miles we put on. I do know that over the 12 years, I think we averaged out somewhere, I believe there was around 2,000 to 2,500 stories. That'll do it for today's Backroads Classics. Join us again down the road for some more of these old tales. Hey folks, you ain't got nothing better to do. This is Hal Wolford on the Backroads.
25 Sports with Lance Wilkerson.
We are 17 minutes and 48 seconds away from Evans. I wanted to be Don Mattingly when I grew up, but it turns out I run like Bunny the Elephant, so there was no chance I was ever going to be able to make it to the big league, so I wanted to stay in it. And I remember someone at high school at Castle said, hey, you should be the next Harry Carey. You love the Cubs, you love the Bears and all that. And I kind of took it to heart and went to Ball State, and they had a great TV school. And to be able to come and work in your hometown, that was the best part of my career in TV, was to be able to work in my hometown and cover the teams that I loved. And one of my favorite things that I did in my time was to try to represent our area, because southwestern Indiana never got a lot of coverage because Indianapolis dominated. Same in Kentucky, because Louisville and Lexington, and Illinois, everything was Chicago. So if there was a way to promote our sports in our area, that's what I tried to do. The people were great because Brad and I had an immediate impact because of Ball State, and he took me under his wing right off the bat, and to have Brad as a mentor right away was huge for me. And he would always listen to me when I was having problems writing something or I had a tricky story. And then my boss was Lloyd Winnicky, and he really pushed me. He was tough, and I liked that. In hindsight, Stan Clark was also another producer that was really difficult, but to this day, I write so much better because of those people. But the atmosphere at all, it was a tough business. There's no, news in general, it's kind of a jaded business, but it makes you better. It makes you question things and make sure that what you put on the air is accurate.
Welcome back live to the Big Easy. Our continuous buzzer-to-buzzer coverage of Evansville and Kentucky continues in the NCAA tournament, and this is what they're all playing for. This is the National Championship Sears Crystal Trophy.
Technology, when I first started, there was no undo button, and that was a big deal when you edited, and if you made a mistake, you had to start all over. You know, it was videotape, and that would happen right before airtime, and you're like, oh my gosh. And but you became a very good editor. Now with the computers, it's amazing when you edit something together, and you can really make it fancy. But just getting stuff on the air on a day-to-day basis with tape was really archaic. And I know before me with film, when you actually had to cut it, was even more difficult.
Talk about New Orleans. It's everything. It's got bands, they're fortune tellers. Somebody told me there's a mimic around here, but I haven't seen him in the whole time. So if we find him, we'll put him on TV.
One of my favorite things to cover was the 1999 NCAA tournament run for the Aces, because I grew up an Aces fan, and they finally made it to the tournament. I remember the summer before, I gave Coach Cruz a hard time. I said, I started it, you never make the tournament, and they made it that year. We got to go to New Orleans. It was my first trip to New Orleans, and we did live shots out there. That was really special. Anytime covering the NCAA tournament, whether it was UE or Kentucky or Indiana, Western Kentucky, those were some of my favorite memories for sure. Actually, one of the biggest moments was when Bob Knight got fired up in Bloomington.
You'll see a new assembly hall, I'm sure. When you go there this year, there will probably be ads in it for everything from dog biscuits to Pepsi-Cola, I would imagine.
We had 2 satellite trucks, a helicopter. I think when there was 12 of us, producers, reporters, I anchored the whole coverage. It was just wild. I mean, there was no template to cover anything like that. There were so many students and Bob Knight fans that were at these rallies, and we were trying to figure out how to cover it. And I thought we did a pretty good job. I was pretty proud of that.
It's time to kick off the Tri-State's only 30-minute high school football show. News 25 Home Team Friday Live.
Home Team Friday developed because high school football was so popular, and we were trying to come up with our own show, with our own identity. And I wanted to do just highlights. I didn't want to do the gimmicky stuff and the people in the stands and all. I wanted to focus on the players and the highlights, and that's where we made our niche, and it just took off. I mean, I can't explain to you how quickly it just blew up. I would have kids say, hey, who's going to be the Sky First Showdown? Or, hey, am I going to be the MVP?
From behind victory, 34-17, but that Grant Gribbins played just spectacular, the way he kept his composure all the way through that highlight. That was something. All right, coming up next on News 25, Home Team Friday Live will go to the jungle.
And it was wild. Like, you know, I was just going to cover that team, and now they were talking about wanting to be on Home Team Friday, and that's kind of when we knew we arrived. And it just, every year we challenged everybody at the station to do it a little bit better the next year. So our whole goal was, if there was a good team, and it didn't matter if it was Evansville, it was Perry Central, or it was Muhlenberg North, wherever there was a good team, we would cover it. And with the satellite truck, if I remember when Wood Memorial went to Milan, well, we went to Milan, why not? And I think that's really what separated us.
It looked like the bowl was completely packed from your highlights.
No question about it. I mean, it felt like 7,000 to 9,000 fans.
I hired Drew and I hired Randall, so it's funny, when Randall and I did Countdown last Thursday, I said, I hired you and I'm going to take you down, because we had a little debate. But no, I hired Drew and Randall both. They were both in Bowling Green, and they did a great job. And actually, when it was me, Drew, and Randall, I thought that was a great combination. But there were a lot of great people. Chris Goodman and I were best of friends as well, Mark Pellerito, and a lot of great sports people. I was fortunate to be able to hire some really good sports people. Well, I get people even to this day say, I watch you every night. And I think, well, you haven't watched in a while, but, it is special. I never really have been comfortable with it because I never got into TV to be on TV. I did it because I love sports.
We are at the halfway point of the regular season. Welcome to week number 5 of News 25 Home Team Friday Live, the Tri-State's only 30-minute football show.
Definitely miss it. There's nothing like live TV and sports. Those two combinations are the best.
You know, Lance essentially hired me in 2003, and the one thing that I really was happy about coming on board with him was the fact that, you know, he just wanted to, as he likes to put it, provide football coverage, you know, from goal line to goal line, provide the most in-depth sports coverage in this market every day. That was his vision, and I mean, I was super excited to be on board.